In today's news, Tarik Aaron convicted of possession of cocaine with intent to supply, valued at some $2,700,000. Fuel supply agreement between Delta and BVIEC collapsed after 5 months, says BVIEC, and clearing the air. The BVI Airways project, an example of extremely poor governance, dishonesty among public officials, concluded. Dr. D'Orlando Smith rejects the COI BVI Airways conclusions, which suggest involvement in criminal activity. St. Kitts and Nevis Premier fires some 6 ministers, Parliament dissolved, elections are imminent. All this and so much more when 284 News returns.
Yo, everything good, Dad?
Aye. This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What do you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What you really? Hey, this ain't like you know.
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out that trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit. I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, you know I hustle. I watching ball. I been watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
Hello, beautiful people, and good evening. Welcome. It's Wednesday, May 11th, 2022. I'm Ron Grant, coming to you live and direct from Tortola in the Virgin Islands. A happy Wednesday to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for your time. Beginning our newscast on the local scene, Tarik Aaron has been convicted by Senior Magistrate Richards on the charge of possession of a controlled drug with intent to supply, a violation of Section 7, Number 2 of the Drug Prevention of Misuse Act, Cap 178, as amended. Now, in a statement released by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions on yesterday, Tuesday, May 10th, 2022, it was stated that the decision handed down by Senior Magistrate on Wednesday, May 4th, 2022, was as a result of a joint operation between Her Majesty's Customs and the United States of America Customs Border Patrol on Tuesday, February 2nd, 2016, where Mr. Aaron and another person were apprehended following hot pursuit of Mr. Aaron's vessel. Several kilos of cocaine were discharged during the pursuit. Prior to being apprehended by law enforcement retrieved the discharged items from the water, and forensic testing confirmed that the items retrieved from the water were connected to some of the items recovered from Mr. Aaron's vessel. Now, viewers, a total of some 27 kilograms of cocaine with an estimated street value of US $2,700,000 was recovered during this operation. Now, following a plea of not guilty, the matter proceeded to trial, which concluded with the senior magistrate convicting Mr. Aaron. Mr. Aaron's sentencing hearing has been scheduled for Wednesday, June 8, 2022, and he was remanded to Her Majesty's Prison. Aaron is being represented by PST Law Chambers during the trial. The matter was delayed as a result of the 2017 hurricanes that destroyed court facilities and, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic, which has hindered the progress of criminal trials in the British Virgin Islands. The BVI Electricity Corporation has said that they have not been deliberately concealing information relating to its fuel supply agreement with Delta Petroleum. The BVI Electricity Corporation cleared the air in a recent statement following what they described as misleading and disturbing statements which were publicly made. The corporation said the rumored statements made have the potential to cause mass hysteria and unnecessary panic, and therefore sought to dispel the rumors. Now, the BVI Electricity Corporation disclosed that there was a communication breakdown by Delta after they failed to fulfill their contractual obligations. In a quote, they said, "The truth of the matter is that since early April 2022, BVIEC has been rigorously attempting to obtain information from Delta Petroleum concerning its ability to continue to fulfill its contractual obligations under the existing fuel supply agreement to supply the corporation with number 2 diesel fuel required for its operations on an ongoing basis." They continued, "Unfortunately, it was not until Friday, May 6, 2022 that BVIEC received formal notification from Delta Petroleum of its inability to continue to source and supply the required fuel under the agreement, the BVIEC further explained. Now, procurement process commenced. The Electricity Corporation also said that they have already commenced the process to secure a new source of fuel, therefore replacing Delta Petroleum, which was contracted until 2026. They said the BVIEC wishes to reassure the public that it takes its corporate responsibilities very seriously and that it has swiftly taken steps to procure the necessary number 2 diesel fuel for the continued production of electricity in the intervening period while we recommence our tendering process for the purpose of securing a reliable and constant source of supply of fuel for the production of electricity. Now, just last October, the BVIEC announced that Delta Petroleum Caribbean Limited will be the main supplier of refined petroleum to their company after signing a contract provided fuel to the corporation until 2026. Viewers, up next, the BVI Airways project, an example of exemplary poor governance, dishonesty among public officials, concluded, and Dr. D. Orlando Smith, a former Premier of the territory, rejects the COI BVI Airways conclusions which suggest involvement in criminal activity. We'll have the details of this and so much more when 284 News returns.
The beautiful Virgin Islands, or nature's little secret as some prefer, where the weather stays warm and the drinks stay cold, where men in wigs get their lawyer bills paid by governments and governments lose planes, where walls are built and prisoners escape. You vacation where we suffer. BVI love.
You value traditions. Today. You value music. You value education. Family.
I love you.
Service.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Love. Life. At Popular, we're committed to you and everything our community values. For the things you value the most, count on us. Popular.
There's a reason you get up on a morning. A reason you pick yourself up, start the day. Maybe it's sheer grit. Maybe it's your ethics. Maybe it's because you know people like you are waiting for people just like you. We all have our reasons, and for Republic Bank, that reason is you. Every little thing, every big thing. It's all about making a difference in your life. Because after 182 years, if it's one thing we're sure about, is that the difference is you. We're here to help.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Viewers, welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Continuing on the local scene here in the British Virgin Islands, the Commission of Inquiry report has concluded that the $7.2 million BVI Airways project was plagued with mass instances of poor governance and possible acts of corruption, which led to its failure. The COI Commissioner, Sir Gary Hickenbottom, made the disclosure within the 946-page report. Our Kamal Haynes has the story.
Commissioner Sir Gary Hickenbottom listed the former Premier and Minister of Finance, Dr. D. Orlando Smith, and former Financial Secretary, Dr. Neil Smith, as the two key players of the then BVI government as it relates to the BVI Airways project. But during the COI investigations, both the officials firmly denied any failure of good governance on their part, a point of view that Sir Hickenbottom said he could not accept. He said, and I quote, "We're looking at the project as a whole. Whilst I accept that the policy foundation for the project was to encourage a higher level of tourism and therefore benefit the BVI economy, my view is that the project was an example of extremely poor governance with dire financial consequences for the BVI government, where this is the expenditure of $7.2 million with no benefit obtained for the public at all." He continued, "Further, the failure of the BVI government to require financial statements from BVI Airways to which it was entitled under the framework agreement means that what in fact happened to the $7.2 million and upon what it was spent is not known. The fact that some of the money was expended on, example, obtaining licenses and staff, does not by any means fully address that as an issue, nor do the various findings of the arbitrator, such as his finding that BVI Airways used reasonable commercial efforts to establish the route, end quote. The commissioner outlined 9 good governance practices that he believed would have saved the then government from losing the $7.2 million investment had they been used during the initial phases of the BVI Airways project. He said, had the principles of good governance been applied, amongst other things, 1. Proper due diligence would have been carried out in relation to the operating parties and the individuals representing them, including their attorney, Mr. Lester Hyman. 2. Mr. Neil Smith would not have been placed in a position where he was compromised and conflicted. 3. A better handle on where the BVI government's money was being spent would have been maintained, and regular financial statements for BVI Airways, as required by the framework agreement, would have been insisted upon and not simply waived, making reference to $3.3 million of undefined expenses on the project in 2016. 4. He cited Mr. Ryan Gillock as the BVI government representative on the BVI Airways board would not have been excluded from details of the operations of BVI Airways. 5. The BVI government would have obtained independent advice on the feasibility of the project, instead of relying upon the CITSA report in circumstances in which is now said that the operator parties manipulated the findings and conclusions of that report. 6. The BDO report would have been brought to the attention of cabinet members before they approved proceedings with the project to a framework agreement. 7. The advice of the Attorney General, which sought to afford greater protection to the BVI government's interests in relation to the draft framework agreement, would not have been ignored. It would have been properly considered. 8. The final payment of $2 million would not have been made without proper consideration of a link with performance. And 9. The operating parties would have been required to provide a written commitment in respect of their financial input, and this commitment would have formed part of the framework agreement. Commissioner Sir Hickenbottom said it was the collection of the aforementioned listed breaches of good governance which led to his conclusion that serious dishonesty among public officials did occur within the BVI Airways project. He said, and I quote, "These unsatisfactory circumstances are, in my view, probably sufficient in themselves to fall within paragraph 1 of my terms of reference. This is, from them, I can be satisfied that, in respect of this project, there is information that some form of serious dishonesty in relation to public officials may have taken place." He added, in circumstances in which there is an ongoing criminal investigation with public officials as the persons of interest, the criteria for paragraph 1 are even more clearly met, end quote. Mr. Hickenbottom said that had the ongoing criminal investigation into the BVI Airways project not existed, he would have recommended an audit of the project and all companies involved. He said it is important that the criminal investigation be allowed to run its course. Reporting for 284 News, I am Kamal Haynes.
Thank you, Kamal. Former Premier and Minister of Finance Dr. D. Orlando Smith has wholly rejected the conclusion issued in the Commission of Inquiry report, which states that serious dishonesty took place among government officials during the failed $7.2 million BVI Airways project. Our Kamal Haynes has this story.
Former Premier of the Virgin Islands, Dr. D. Orlando Smith, responded to the Commission of Inquiry report in a recent Facebook post where he disassociated himself and members of his former National Democratic Party administration from having any involvement in criminal activity as it relates to the BVI Airways project. He said, and I quote, "As the former Premier of the territory, I find it necessary to clear the air on the report's findings in relation to BVI Airways and the suggestion that there may have been criminality on the part of those BVI landers involved, including myself. More specifically, I refer to the passage of page 374 of the COI's report, which found that the project was an example of poor governance on the part of the government due to a failure to require financial statements from BVI Airways, inadequate due diligence, and other examples of this kind, end quote. What Dr. Smith said, the highlighted instances of poor governance did not equate to acts of criminality, and while rejecting the conclusion, he said, it is, and I quote, not supported by any facts, end quote. He continued, I state categorically that at no time during the 4 years or so that my government was involved with the U.S. promoters of BVI Airways in an effort to get the airline started was there any criminal activity, deliberate or by accident, on our part. No facts have been alleged and no evidence shown which indicate otherwise. The COI report itself does not set out a justification for the suggestion that BVI government officials may have committed a crime, end quote. The former premier admitted to being let down by the United States attorney and advisor to the project, Lester Hyman, who had in excess of 3 decades of experience working with previous BVI governments. He admitted that in placing that trust in the advisor and not carrying out sufficient due diligence, poor governance was exhibited. However, he said such, and I quote, could never be elevated to criminality on the part of either the previous financial secretary, end quote, or himself. But Dr. Smith said, and I quote, I owe it to you, the people of the Virgin Islands, who placed your trust in me for over 19 consecutive years, to reaffirm to you that not one day did I violate that trust. In hindsight, errors may have been made in terms of due diligence, but at no time was there any act even remotely bordering on criminality committed on the part of myself or my colleagues, end quote. What Dr. Smith said, his legacy must never be associated with claims of criminality, as he maintains such acts were never practiced during his almost 2 decades as an elected official. Reporting for 284 News, I am Kamal Haynes.
Thank you, Kamal. Now, viewers, when 284 News returns, Shane Baptiste appointed the new Asia representative for the BVI FSC. All this and so much more when 284 News returns.
Hello?
Wait, you had a lunch and you don't say you were sick? What happened to our wedding rehearsal?
No, babe. I'm actually watching the news right now. Take a listen.
Topping our newscast today, UFOs seen around Tortola Pier Park.
And District 3 residents outraged over no water supply. They simply cannot bathe. These and more stories when 284 News returns.
All right, babe, just get some rest, take 2 Advil, and I'll see you later.
Bye.
Okay, honey. I see you later. I love you.
It's clear to see that Coconut Lounge is a place to be, the coolest cocktail lounge in the British Virgin Islands. A lounge like no other, with welcoming, professional service, and a breathtaking ambiance. Not forgetting a diverse selection of wines, beers, and signature cocktails. Cozy, comfortable, contemporary. Coconut Lounge at Tortola Pier Park. Visit us today. Brilliant Hands and Minds tutoring services, one-on-one tutorials in math and English, intense homework assistance, academic enrichment, school projects, effective communication and public speaking development, sign language for adults and children on Saturdays only. Registered with the Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program, Brilliant Hands and Minds can help you too. Offering intense curriculum-based training to help you or your loved ones get their high school diploma. It's time to make your family's education a #1 priority. Hurry, space is limited. Brilliant Hands and Minds Learning Center. We are the trained education professionals.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Viewers, welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us. Of course, panning across and now to the region of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Yesterday, May 10th, 2022, during a national address, Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, fired some 6 what is known as rebellious ministers, appointed a new deputy prime minister, and dissolved the parliament, giving way for elections. Harris Tuesday said he had asked the Governor General to dissolve Parliament with immediate effect after announcing the dismissal of several ministers, including his deputy, Sean Richards, and Nevis Premier Mark Brantley, along with Lindsey Grant, Janelle Powell, Alexis Jeffers, and Eric Evelyn. Take a look.
My fellow citizens and residents, throughout my time in public life, I have always been driven by the belief that politics is about people. It's about delivering for the people and putting in place policies that make their lives better. Our nation can have a bright and wonderful future. Yes, our future can be stronger and safer if those of us in public life commit to putting country above self. Unfortunately, over the past few months, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis have been subjected to increasingly strange and irrational behavior by certain members of the People's Action Movement PAM and the Concerned Citizens Movement CCM. These events commence with the convention of the People's Action Movement, when the guest speaker, the Honourable Mark Brantley, and the political leader of PAM, the Honourable Sean Richards, unwisely and publicly levelled scathing criticisms about the relationship between our tripartite movement. This development was surprising, inappropriate, and called for, and absolutely inconsistent with the public pronouncement made by them on numerous occasions. I have met with both Ministers Brantley and Richards on more than one occasion since PAM convention, at which time they raised several issues. Their concerns were subsequently articulated in a letter dated April 16, 2022, in which they made some 18 accusations and demands. I responded in writing on April 20, 2022, giving a comprehensive response to each one of the allegations and demands. That definitive response remains unanswered.
Further speaking to the motion of no confidence filed against him, Harris had this to say.
Since then, both ministers and 4 others from the PAM and the CCM have signed a letter to the Governor General to express their loss of confidence in my leadership as Prime Minister. The Honourable Sean Richards has also filed a motion of no confidence with the Honourable Speaker of the Parliament. The protracted absence of the Honourable Sean Richards from Cabinet over the past 91 days is a major breach of the oath to which he swore following the June 2020 general elections. Such prolonged absence is a dereliction of duty that is both inexcusable and intolerable. During this time, I have exercised great restraint in an effort to bring resolution to the matter. I could not, however, do what the Honourable Sean Richards requested, that is, direct the police to alter a police statement.
It was then at this point the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis then fired 6 ministers from Cabinet.
It is also clear that the current situation cannot continue. The people of St. Kitts and Nevis certainly deserve better. Throughout this process, I have been reasonable but resolute in my commitment to ensuring that the government was delivering for you. It is for this reason that I have taken the difficult but necessary step to remove from their positions those who have shown a disinterest in their duties. I have asked His Excellency to reassign their portfolios to members who are willing and able to deliver for you. Yesterday I asked His Excellency the Governor General, Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton, to remove the Honourable Sean Richards from the office of Deputy Prime Minister. In his stead, I have advised His Excellency to appoint the Honourable Jean Hamilton to the office of Deputy Prime Minister. The Honourable Hamilton has been steadfast and responsible in discharging his duties as a minister of the portfolios assigned to him. I have also asked His Excellency to revoke the appointment of the Honourable Richards as a Minister of Government and to reassign his portfolios to the Honourable Eugene Hamilton. Deputy Prime Minister Hamilton will now have conduct of the department and subjects under the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Posts and Urban Development that had been previously assigned to the Honourable Richards. I am also to advise that I have asked His Excellency to revoke the appointments of the other ministers who have thought it fit to disrespect the sacred trust that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis place in the government following our very successful general election campaign in 2020. As a result, the following individuals, namely the Honourable Mark Brantley, the Honourable Lindsay Grant, the Honourable John L. Powell, the Honourable Alexis Jeffers, the Honourable Eric Evelyn, have been stripped of their appointments as Ministers of Government.
Now, of course, viewers, for more on the situation in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, be sure to check out two special reports taking place. Of course, one with Chelsea Hamilton, he's a lawyer, and another with Timothy A. Keynes, who is a political strategist. Those were aired earlier this evening, and you can view them for its entirety. Of course, we are expected to stay to the ground, of course, speaking to persons within the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis on the present political climate. Until then, viewers, that's it for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for your daily news updates at tweet4media.com, and of course, like us on Facebook at tweet4media and at tweet4BVI on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Ron Grant. I will see you tomorrow as we deliver your daily dose of local, regional, and international content. We're Tweet4 News, your source for honest and impartial news, right here on Tweet4 Media. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Bye-bye. Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
The wait is over! CCT Fire is here! Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire, bring it home and upgrade today.
Brilliant Hands and Minds tutoring services, one-on-one tutorials in math and English, intense homework assistance, academic enrichment, school projects, effective communication and public speaking development, sign language for adults and children on Saturdays only. Registered with the Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program, Brilliant Hands and Minds can help you too. Offering intense curriculum-based training to help you or your loved ones get their high school diploma. It's time to make your family's education a #1 priority. Hurry, space is limited. Brilliant Hands and Minds Learning Center. We are the trained education professionals.
Line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes, Sonny.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Over there. You must have cut fun topic.
It's okay, I'll take care of it.
What? No man to take care of me.
How may I assist you?
Yes.
You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Top up power.
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top up power?